round of applause as we welcome Mr. Jude Ashiedu.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. So, we're looking at AI in education, just the basics, and some demos which you can. I think, how many teachers do we have here? How many teachers? Okay. School owners. So okay. So we have a mixed crowd, right? So it's not just educators. So I'm going to be coming from the education part of AI, which is applicable in most fields and which is applicable in most industries. So I'm coming from the education part of AI, and I'll make it as applicable to other professions as possible. So my name is Ashiedu Jude, and I'm an educational technologist. So we're looking at introduction to AI and understanding the basics. The good thing about AI is it's applicable to all industries. I know we have been hearing ChatGPT and all that. ChatGPT, medical doctors can use it, teachers can use it, lawyers can use it, engineers can use it, programmers can use it, marketers can use it. So it cuts across all fields. So ChatGPT is not just, it's like a Swiss Army knife that can do several things, right? So it's applicable to all industries. And from a teacher's perspective, it will give you everything that has to do with education. From a doctor's perspective, it will give you everything that has to do with medical practices or practitioner. So automatically it means no matter what field you are, you can use AI in your industry. And before now, we'll be seeing different professionals taking AI courses, right? So this part of AI we're talking about is the hands-on approach to AI in your field or in your industry. So first and foremost, we look at why traditional classroom need AI. We're used to teachers doing things the old way and some trying to even infuse tech in their practices. So let's look at some of the definition or some of the terms. So as traditional teaching methods struggle to meet the needs of today's students, AI-powered knowledge assistants are emerging as a powerful tool to reshape education. As AI's automated creativity can effectively compensate for inadequate learning resources, opening new instructional possibilities to enhance students' outcome. The thing there is, I don't know, maybe in the nearest future, it might be this year or it might be today. There's the idea that AI might do away with textbooks. That is the truth. Because the content generated by AI, right, can be seen in textbooks. Not that it is plagiarizing any textbooks, but it can break down information in textbook to any learner. So if you have an AI tool at your disposal, you might see, if you know how to use it, you might not need the textbook. All you just need to do is get the topics and get AI to generate relevant content on that topic, and it becomes your textbook. So there's the fear that AI will take over textbook, which is possible because textbooks content are static. Whatever you are reading from a textbook is one-way traffic. But for AI, you can, if you have for example, you have a textbook in quantum physics, right? Can you as a teacher teach quantum physics to grade 1? And even if you bring a quantum physics textbook, you cannot teach it to grade 1. You cannot teach it to even primary school. But with AI, you can tell AI, explain quantum physics to a 6-year-old, and it generates content from that, and that can be a textbook on its own. Are you getting? So you can teach anything to anybody, to any category, just with AI, because of the power of what? Rephrasing and redefining terms. Because when you are in school or you are teaching, it is difficult to rephrase some terms. Not that it's difficult, but you might not have the time to start using new words to explain certain kind of concepts to your students. But with AI, it can rephrase and redefine certain words, and that makes it easier for you to explain it to any child, any student, any adult at their level of understanding. So that's where AI comes in powerful with traditional teaching. Traditional teaching were used to be standard definition, but with AI coming into traditional teaching, automatically makes it easier for even those standard definition to be explained in simplified terms. So let's look at the rise of artificial intelligence. Now let's explain AI. Since we were introduced to AI, let's explain AI. Artificial intelligence is a type of computer programming that allows machine to think and learn like humans. AI programs are trained on large amounts of data, and they can use that data to make decisions, solve problems, and even create things. So let me explain how this AI came into being. There are three aspects of what we call generative AI that generates content, right? We have generative text, generative images, generative videos, generative sound, and generative 3D objects or 3D world. Now let's start with generative text. When they were creating this AI, they gathered all the text on the internet, right? Text, just text. You go to a website, just what you can read, no images, no videos. They gathered it up to 50 gigabytes. So if you gather the entire text on the internet, is up to 50 gigabytes compressed, no images like I told you. Now they trained that text to recognize human language responses or how human communicates, right? When they did that, automatically it now starts giving you ideas based on how you type in information to ask from it. That's why they call it prompting. So when you ask an AI a question, it gives you the response in text, like somebody at the back end. So that is called what? Generative text. So they have trained the AI to recognize human kind of responses, human kind of interaction in text only. So that's where it comes generative text. Prior to that, we had this idea before now, that's the .com bubble. We were excited with what search engines. I think you know what a search engine is now. You go to Google, you type something, that's a search engine. It gives you websites and information regarding that query you asked. Now, AI is called the what? Reasoning engine. So we have moved past the search engine area. We are still in the search engine area, but now we are now dealing with what? Reasoning engine. So the AI can reason certain things for you. And that's why it's the best tool for brainstorming. Are you getting it? It's the best tool for what? Brainstorming. You as a professional, you can't allow it to take your job, even if it can do certain things better than you. But it's more of an ally than a what? Foe. Or it's more of an ally than an enemy. So you use it for what? Brainstorming. You are writing a book and you get into writer's block, where you cannot reason past certain information. Then you go to AI and you ask certain questions regarding what you want to know, and it gives you information, and your creativity comes back, right? But you don't just allow it to write your book. Even if you can allow it, but it's not going to be that personalized. So that's where it comes into play. It becomes what? A reasoning engine with you. It becomes a companion. It becomes your virtual assistant. We all have virtual assistants. We all have assistant teachers. So AI is like the assistant teacher, or the knowledge assistant for teachers. Or it can be a doctor, it can be your knowledge assistant as a doctor. So AI gives you what? That leverage to what? Brainstorm. If you don't know what you're doing as a professional, AI will just give you garbage in, garbage out, and you don't even know how to use the results you're getting. For example, you tell it to write certain code as a programmer. You tell it to write a code for you as a programmer. It can give you the code. If you are not a professional programmer, you find it difficult to use that code because you are not even good at coding in the first place. So the more professional you are using AI, the better for you. So next we look at importance of AI in education. AI removes the burden on teachers to manually create engaging resources from scratch. The AI handles the intensive creative effort while teachers provide the key learning goals. Sorry, I missed something. I talked about generative text. Generative images works like this. They train the AI on certain images. For example, if you bring the image of a cat and you show the AI, it will not know it. Why? Because it might not be able to relate it to what cat is. So what they did was take millions of images of cats, different forms of images of cats, and train the AI to recognize cats or any animal or any object. So when you show it that object, it can tell you by 95% accuracy that this object is what it is in reality. So if you show it an image of a cat, it can tell you that this image is a cat. It will not say this image is a what? Dog or a human being. So the same thing applies to video. They train it on recognizing video patterns, sound patterns, and also 3D animation patterns. So next we look at challenges faced by educators. Now as teachers, we find that teachers are overworked, have little control over their work, and are not adequately rewarded, which we are used to. They also have poor relationship with admin, staff or administrators, feel they are not treated fairly and do not feel their school values align with us. These are popular problems teachers face or educators face in school setting. Now, advantages and limitations of traditional teaching methods. Traditional teaching methods are no longer adequate to meet the changing needs of students, teachers, and society. While they offer structure and stability, because we practice traditional methods, we have gotten so good at practicing it or using traditional methods in teaching. So while they offer structure and stability, they may also result in disengagement, boredom, and lower achievement when used exclusively. So because traditional method, we are so used to it, we have gotten so perfected in teaching the traditional way, we find that it is stable, it's structured, but it might not be able to meet the needs and the demands of our generation or our students. That's why even if you have a classroom of 150 students, no matter how good you are as a teacher, you will struggle. That is the truth. I know we are used to super teacher kind of narrative. If you are giving 100, even 50 students to teach, no matter how professional you are as a teacher, you will struggle, right? Because it has exceeded your limit or your capacity. On an ideal base, I think a teacher to 10 students, the same way we have with medicine or with doctors. We overuse doctors too, right? We have one doctor handling what? Hundreds of patients per day. That's why they will struggle. That's why they will make some kind of mistake when recommending drugs and all that. Though some hospitals are now using AI for that. So the same thing applies to teacher. No matter how super teacher you are, if they give you exceeding capacity more than what you can handle, you will struggle as a teacher. All you can now do just give a very watered version of what you're supposed to teach in reality. So that's the problem with traditional settings. So with AI, it makes it what? Very easy. If you have 50 students and they ask you to differentiate instruction for maybe 10 groups of those students, you will struggle as a teacher. Why? Because the tools to differentiate is not coming in hand. You have to do it manually. Now with AI, you can differentiate, automate, you can automatically differentiate students, you can create rubrics for students, you can assess students at different levels, and it makes it easier for you as a teacher. It reduces the stress that you use to create what? Manual lesson plans. So let's look at some websites we'll be using, and some of them work with websites, some of them are apps, and some of them you can use them on WhatsApp. So for teachers, we have Magic School AI. We have Bing Chat, it's an image creator. We have Google Bard. Google Bard is a website that by Google, it works with your what? Gmail. We have that is an image generator. Okay, I can't increase the font. Maybe I will try Zoom. But I might not allow you to copy everything. If you can snap so that you save. We have DAL-E, it's an image generator. We have Open Labs, and we have Adobe Firefly. Open Lab is also like Google Bard. It's a text, generative text. DAL-E is generative image. Microsoft Bing is both generative text and generative image. You said? You might need to snap. Then we have for WhatsApp. I'll just give you 30 seconds to that. 30 seconds. So WhatsApp, it works, it's an AI that works with WhatsApp. Seconds gone. There, prophets. Okay. I will call it a wrap. So these are the websites, some of the websites we'll be using today for them. Okay. Are these snapped? Okay, so when we talk about generative AIs, generative text, please take note of the terms I'm using. Generative text, generative image, generative videos, generative sound, and generative 3D objects. So what it begins with a prompt. A prompt is a command you give to the AI. Now your ability to question the AI will give you the best results or the best responses from the AI. That's what we call prompting. If you can question the AI properly to give you personalized results, that is what we call what? Prompting. The way you hear prompting is just a word used to what? Interrogate. Now if you can't ask a good question, it will show in your results you are getting from your AI. So your prompting is your ability to what? Interrogate the AI. I'm using interrogation because that's the best word for getting good responses from the word machine or the artificial intelligence chatbot. So this is an interface of a chatbot. And here it looks like what you see in WhatsApp, right? That you're chatting. So that is where you type in your prompt. So you have text to text, text to image, text to video, text to sound, and text to what? 3D objects. So that text to the other aspect of it is called what? Prompting. So let's look at what it means. Prompting is simply typing short text questions to interrogate a chatbot in order to get personalized responses. Now, prompting is now a professional art. They now have what we call what? Prompt engineers. A prompt engineer design prompts or design the best prompts to get responses from the AI. Now, as a teacher or a professional, you become also a prompt engineer in a way, because you have to understand the prompt in your, or the registers in your field. For example, if you want the AI to give you results for medical question or interrogation, you have to use medical terms. At that point, you become a medical doctor, even if you are a teacher. If you want it to give you law, you have to start using legal terms to ask it questions. If you, as a teacher, you have to start using what? Professional teaching terms. That's where your Bloom's comes here, Bloom's taxonomy and every other thing. Learning style come into play. If you are even if you are a photographer, you want to get an image from the AI, you have to start using photographic terms, or photography terms, or videography terms, depending on what result you want from the AI. You have to switch your register to match that industry or that field you are expecting the result. Okay, so let's look at the implementation of AI in traditional classrooms. So we start with lesson plan. Your AI can be used for what? Lesson plans. Can be used for lesson plan. And that's where that's the beauty of it. You don't have to be reusing your 20-year-old lesson plan over and over again. You don't have to. You don't have to be using your 20-year-old lesson notes. No, I'm not. The truth is that it's not because teachers don't want to do better, but you have 50 students or how many students, and you have to create new lesson plans. So it's difficult for teachers. That's the truth. It's difficult for teachers. But with AI, it makes it, even with your traditional classroom, makes it easier for you. Then we look at for smart lesson planning. AI can assist teachers to customize lesson plans, create PowerPoint presentations. That's how I'll teach you that today. You can create rubrics and notes of lesson, differentiate instruction for each student's level and interest to improve their learning outcome. Like I told you, differentiation is difficult if you have too many students. But with AI, you can actually get the results you want. Even in special needs, AI can help you diagnose students with certain special needs and give you recommendation on how to help the student. Before professional help comes in. Are you getting it? Because sometimes it will be difficult to get specialist teachers or pay specialist teachers. So you can use AI to actually be helping those students that are struggling in your class. So let's look at lesson plan first. So I'll be using Google Bard. The website is bard.google.com. So this is where you type in the prompt, right? So you can tell it, for example, create a lesson plan. Create a lesson plan for grade 3. Grade 3, let's say English language, right? In the topic tenses. Is that a suggestion? Tenses, right? Okay. Tenses. Okay, Okay. In the topic tenses. Now, you can now, it doesn't matter, it has not ended. Put order, you can say I have 20 students and I want you to differentiate for them. So you can put in all those information when you are asking the AI to create lesson plan. The more specific you are, the more personalized results you get. If you use generalized prompts or generalized requests, it will give you generalized what? Responses. So if you want it to suit your class, look at your class and decide what you want as your lesson plan for that class. You have 20 students, you need activities, you need what they call it, differentiation and all that. So let's use this. This is a general kind of prompt. So let me so this is the typical lesson plan, right? This is a typical lesson plan. So subject English, grade level, tenses, topic, objective. It also gives you objective of your lesson. Now, if you want a specific objective, you can also include it in the prompt. Then tells you the materials. Now, some classes are not tech-based materials, so you can put the materials you have in your classroom and it will work with that material. Else, it might give you materials that is outside your classroom reach. So it tells you the procedure to start the lesson, assessment, it gives you an assessment, it also differentiates for you, it gives you extension, and that's it. Now, the good thing with Google, what? No, lesson plan. That the notes of lesson is also different, so you have to generate that content. So it gives you 3 drafts, meaning you can choose from any of the drafts. This is the first draft of the lesson, this is the second draft. So you select the draft that works for you or that you feel is suitable for your class or that is quite elaborate. This is the third draft. You get it? So it gives you 3 drafts for the same lesson, so you choose which one works for you. Now you can tell it generate, this is a typical English language class. Now you can tell it generate a story for the lesson. Now it creates a specific story that matches your lesson. Now you remember that when you teach a story, it sticks with your students more. No matter the topic, no matter how difficult the topic is, once you teach with a story, it sticks with your students more. So you can tell it, create a comprehension story passage, right? Passage for the topic tenses. Good. It gives you a story. Then you can move further. Create 10 questions for the story. And that is an assessment for you. So you can see you can generate as much as possible. Now, for schools that have structured lesson plan template, this is a general lesson plan template. For schools that have structured lesson plan template, you can actually build, by doing that, you can actually allow the AI to structure it according to your lesson plan. For example, this lesson plan template here. Okay, it follows Okay, didn't follow the template per se. I don't know why. Yeah, maybe it's not clear. So, but even if it comes out with some of them, you can also ask it to include elements on your template inside the lesson. So it will go back and rephrase it. Okay, so that's for lesson plan. We look at another one. Classroom decoration. You can also use AI for classroom decoration ideas. That's where you have text to images. Text to images. You can use it for what? Classroom decoration idea. For example, you can use Adobe Firefly for that. So Adobe Firefly is a text to image AI generator, or text to image AI. Now, like I told you, if you want specific elements in your images, that's where you can visualize your words, or you can use the AI to visualize your words. You have to specify, but I'll just ask it classroom decoration ideas. Might not be perfect because you only typed few prompts, right? It might not be perfect. But that this gives you inspiration. And that's what we need as teachers most times. Inspiration. So it gives you something like this. Right? Yes, you can. That is where your prompt comes in. So you can start putting specific words to make your prompt come to life. Then once you're done, you can just download it and use it as a sample for your classroom inspiration. Are you getting it? So this generative image text to image. Then we'll also use it for grading. Now normally, it can auto grade if you upload an image of a result or an image of an exam question. That's where it becomes scary, because students can upload a question inside there and give them answers. So that is where it becomes scary. But are you getting it? I'll teach you how to help you work with students who are already using it in your classroom, so that you can also be ahead of them. Now, for grading, it has to be tied to your learning management system. Because from your learning management system, if it's tied to it, automatically, if a student finishes CBT, you can tell them what topic they are weak in, can give them analytics, and it also can suggest topics they can read to better understand that their weaknesses. Are you getting it? So that is where it becomes very powerful, when it's tied to your LMS, learning management system, or your school management system. So let's look at prompt examples. For lesson plan, this is an example. Can you generate a straightforward reading comprehension passage from scratch? Tailor it for grade you want, with focus on what part of speech and what figure of speech. The entire passage should be African-based story. So that's a complete way you are going to type a prompt for an English class comprehension. You want it to be African-based story, because most times it will just give you foreign-based stories that your student might not be able to relate with. So you start telling it bits and pieces of what you want in your prompt, or the results of your prompt. So that's for lesson plan. For assessment, use the lesson, if you want it to give you an assessment for your students, or you want a result for your student assessment, use the lesson notes, create 5 multiple choice questions with only 3 options for grade. Put the grade, include the answer for each question. It should not be more than 1 answer for each question. For example, let's see if we can try it here if it's still up. Okay, so this is the lesson note. You can tell it create 5 multiple choice questions on the story. So you can also remember some of your last prompts or some of the last results that were generated. So that's it. You can see it still remembers the story. So it gives you, and it also, now there's no answers. I would have included with answers for each question so that you can use it as your marking guide. So you look at it, so you can tell it's 10 multiple choice questions. So this makes it easier for you to assess your students quickly. You don't have to start thinking how will I create OBJ questions or CBT questions or fill in the gap questions. So it makes it easier for you. So that's for assessment. You can also use it for what? Differentiation. So you can use a prompt like this. Provide what number of strategies for differentiating instruction on students or the subject or the topic for the grade level students with diverse learning needs. Include suggestions for modifying content, process, and products to accommodate students' specific learning differences, learning styles, ability, and interest. So we are used to multiple intelligences, right? So you can also apply it when you are typing the prompt. If you know a specific group of students with specific kind of intelligence. Are you getting it? So we have for rubric, you can also tell it to create rubric for you. You can also tell it to create rubric for you to help you assess your students properly. And sometimes rubric can be very difficult for teachers, right? You find that most rubric might not be tailored to that topic because we just pick it and match it like that. So this AI can help you create specific rubrics for your students on a specific topic, on a specific learning goal. Okay, so that's the prompt. So implementation of AI, some subjects. So you can apply it in literacy. In literacy is very easy, very straightforward. You can also apply it in science and numeracy, right? We look at maths. Why sometimes, sometimes you find that maths will be difficult if you don't know what to look for when you are trying to teach it. If you don't know specific items to teach before hierarchy, maths will be difficult for you to implement with students. But with AI, it makes it easier. It can give you the different learning strategy that a child needs to master before they know a specific difficult topic or any other topic. So you can implement it in science, maths. So generative AI can be used to create images for a variety of abstract concepts, especially in science. The atom, the human, different parts of the human anatomy and all that. You can use generative image to generate specific images for those parts you want to teach. You might not have the model in your science class, but you want it to be a part of your lesson. So you go to text to image and generate images of maybe the human heart or the human lungs or anything you are trying to teach. So this gives you ability to conceptualize everything you are teaching or show an image of what you're teaching to your students. Then we'll look at, you can also provide technical know-how. Like I told you, for those using it to code or for programmers, it makes it easier for them to code if they know what they are doing. if you are starting code, if you are a beginner, a novice in coding, it's going to be difficult because you don't know the result it's giving you, you don't know if it's correct or not. But if you are already a professional, even like the teaching, if you're already a professional, when you start using AI, you find that it enhances your work rather than make you look redundant. So we look at implementation for students. Now this is where it comes in very handy. We have issues where schools, if just Google schools that ban ChatGPT or schools that are banning AI in their compound or in their curriculum. Why? Because they feel students are using it for what? Homework. Students are using ChatGPT for homework. And that is the best they are using ChatGPT for. You give a child a homework or a project and they use ChatGPT to get result and submit to you, and it looks very fantastic, and you mark them correct. It's correct anyway, it's correct, because they did better than those who use their brain, right? But the truth is that this, buy the laptop, go outside, buy the laptop, desktop, phone. Microsoft is already embedding AI into their devices. So from Microsoft point of view, ChatGPT or Bing Chat is a business decision. They don't care whether students use it. So it means if you buy a laptop for your students or for your son or your daughter, they will see ChatGPT there and they will start using it for homework. So you can't tell them, use this part of your laptop, don't use this part of your laptop. So your fight as a teacher is already, or as a parent is already defeated. That's why some of those university schools that are trying to ban this, they are not thinking ahead to see that it's already embedded in the devices. AI is already in your, look at your Windows 10, update your Windows 10 laptop. You find that there's already ChatGPT there. Sorry, there's already Bing Chat there. So you just click on it and ask question and it gives you result. And that's it. That's how your students work. You submit assignment. So what you do as teachers, you have to change our strategy for what? Assessing homeworks. That is what we change. We have to change our strategy for what? Assessing students' homeworks. Now, we are also bent on looking only on generative text. The students can actually enjoy seeing their words coming toward being visualized or coming toward life. It was generative images. So you can start telling a child, if a child asks you what is imagination, you can't explain imagination to that child. But with generative AI, for generative image, that child can type imagination and use some certain prompt, and if you give it what they call a picture of imagination, and you get it. So they are automatically getting used to writing good prompts that will give them good visual results. So students can use generative images, generative videos, generative sound. When they are using generative sound, they can become what? Sound engineers. They can become what? Music producers. And they also want generative 3D images, which make them what? 3D modelers, 3D sculptors, and all that. So we are only looking at generative text as the threat. When they have other forms, students can work with and they are creative with us, with our school curriculum. Are you getting it? So we can focus on what? Generative images for students to what? Start using AI. You don't need to tell them go and do text to homework. No, they don't need that. When they can work with images that they can bring their words to life. So we have what? Generative audio, like I said. You can start using generative audio and they listen to different sound, mix different sound, and they become what? Music producers. That's it for your students. Then we have what? Generative videos. The same thing applies. You can become better video editors, become better videographers, and even animators by using what? Generative videos, AI videos. Like the Adobe Firefly we talked about, that's generative image, right? Text to image. Generative videos, I might not be able to go because of time. I might not go into generative videos and animation. So how can AI reduce teachers' burnout and stress? Teachers are always stressed, right? So let's look at it. Number one, generative AI can be used to create personalized interventions, right? You are not going to be using general one-size-fits-all lesson plan or differentiation or assessment, right? Can be used to create personalized intervention for students who are struggling with behavior problems. If you have students who have special needs, for example, let me show you an example how you can use the special needs. Okay, so I'm going back to Google Bard, right? I'll show you a special needs student record. So this is the background of a special needs student. Now, if you are looking for special needs, you would have been documenting the challenges that child is facing over a period of time. You would have documented it, and now it will now become a prompt for you on the AI to give you what recommendation to help that student. So this is an example of the background information of the child. It's a 10-year-old child, behavior, school environment, and previous intervention. So let's see, this child is more like a ADHD student that is very hyperactive. So what you see, ask the AI, how can we help the student learn math and English? Just a simple prompt. Like I said, you would have documented this child's progress over time. Okay. So you say use the image case study. It's a case study. Image case study. Recommend learning intervention for the child. Learning intervention. Interventions for Tommy, I think the child name is Tommy, to learn maths and what? And this is just a basic idea. You can enhance it the way you think. So to scan the documents, because it has ORC, optical character recognition, and it will give you recommendation based on the case study of that child. So this is how you can intervene before you are able to employ a professional SEN teacher or a professional SEN therapist. So it gives you recommendation for the child to learn maths. Provide Tommy with a lot of hands-on learning experience. Are you getting it? Are you seeing it? So for maths, English, and it's also going to tell you resources you can help you as a teacher intervene for that child. So it can be any subject, it can be any situation, you can actually use AI to intervene. So because of time, we quickly go to lack of feeling empowered. Teachers always feel they are not empowered enough in their school. So generative AI can be used to provide teachers with data and insight about their work. Sometimes it might be no matter how professional or no matter how good you are as a teacher, you might not be using the right method. So AI can assess your student and say, tell you as a teacher, this is the method that will work best. Are you getting it? And it gives you what? The right tools or the right ideas to work. Like I told you, it's a brainstorming tool. And most times you need suggestions, you need ideas to make your work what show as a teacher. So for example, a generative AI system could be used to track student progress by their analytics and identify areas where teachers need to improve. So it's not just on the student, it also applies to the teacher. Now, okay, for salary. Fortunately, the AI cannot directly raise your salaries. But the truth is that it can make the little you are earning not to be too stressful for you. Are you getting it? It's like you are earning certain amount that is very little and you are having big job to do. So AI makes those big job minimal for you so that you at least enjoy the little you are earning. And also it makes you a data analyst in the sense that when you start generating analytics, you are not just a teacher grading and assessing students, you are now analyzing their learning outcome and learning difficulty and learning successes. So you become a data analyst in a sense. So but by alleviating other pressure, this could what help retention and make lower pay more sustainable for teachers to engage in other ventures. The key for AI is personalized support to make overburdening teachers' lives manageable and fulfilling by automating juggling and also what providing customized aid. So this actually will reduce the stress that would have been too much for you as a teacher without AI. So let's look at assessments, ways you can assess students that are already using AI ahead of you, right? Students are already using AI ahead of you. So let's look at where we can assess them. Number one, encourage personal reflection. AI cannot have a personal reflection of your student. So if a student submits an assignment and you don't know if it's AI or not, then you have to start dealing with what all students should have to reflect personally on what they have presented to you as a teacher. So encourage personal reflection. Foster creativity. AI cannot mimic, it can mimic our creativity, but some creativity has to be what? Real life for you to assess it as a teacher. Ask students to produce original ideas and solutions to problems. This will require them to think critically and creatively, which is something that AI is not yet good at. Also encourage spiky opinions. Ask students to take a stand on controversial issues, right? And defend their viewpoints. So even if a child brings an AI-generated content, they will have to defend it. That is what you are teaching presentation skills. Also incorporate classroom discussion. AI cannot be involved in classroom discussion because it's a natural skill. Also open-ended questions. So make sure your questions are open-ended so that students can have different viewpoints imputed in the responses. Require students to explain their reasoning. So if AI help the students reason out some items, right? You tell them to explain what it means so they can tell you if you understand even what they are presenting to you as a teacher. And finally, use a variety of assessment. So you don't just because we are used to traditional method that is one-way assessment method. So you use different assessment. Okay, so this is the video. So it's showing that the robot is doing far more than humans. In sports, in the gym, anywhere, and people were amazed. The one thing the robots, it has an AI has limits. It doesn't have interpersonal relationship with human beings. AI cannot take your job as a teacher or as an educator because you need this emotional connection to even teach any student, which is not available. So thank you so much.
Please, I'm rolling up for Jude Ashiedu. Funny enough, I think it's the second time I'm meeting him in how many years in the educational sector. And during the lockdown, he was one of the people who made me become my digital literacy skills were top-notch. Thanks to you. Please, another round of applause for this moment. God bless you, sir. Okay, we're going to take only 3 questions. Only 3 questions. Number 1. Number 2. You already had a question earlier. So only 3 questions. So who is the top lucky person? 3. Okay, question number 1. Hello? Okay. Hello? Can you give us some insights on the
generative AI for videos? Okay. There's the runway ML. Let me see if I can get it. Runway ML. Runway ML. Good. So this site is for what? Text to videos, generative videos. So Runway ML is one of the best sites. And it's free. It's free. You can see it has a free Runway ML. Runway ML. App.runwayml. So you look at it. Video, text, image to video, video to video, good background, text to images and all that. So Runway ML is the best site for you.
I'm sure that Jude is still around for your questions. He will be somewhere there inside the lounge for a few minutes. So please, can we give him a round of applause? Has he done an awesome job? Are we all enjoying ourselves?
So say.